Hi Year 6, this is Wednesday's maths lesson and we are looking today at decimals with division. Okay, if you look at your objectives at the top there. So your anchor task says this: there are 4 small blocks that balance a 4.24 kilogram box. And your question is, what is the mass of each block? I'll just try and explain that a little bit more to you. Hopefully you can see that both sides of this balance are equal. That means that these 4 blocks, hopefully you can see there's 4 separate blocks, look. These 4 blocks all together, when we add them on together, weigh 4.24 kilograms. We need to work out the mass of just one of these blocks, okay? You need a little bit of support to work out what calculation to do. Have a look at the bar model at the top in your supporting hands bit up here. So I've got 4.24, that's our large box at the top there. And then underneath, coming to the same amount, look, the same distance, the same size, I've got 4 of these little blocks. So I need to work out what just one of them is. Think about what I said your objective was and see if you can work out what calculation you're aiming for. Down the bottom here, is there more than one method that you could use? If you can, have a go at doing it in a couple of different ways just to show us what you can do. Right, I'm going to go on to explaining the answer now. So do make sure you've paused the video and make sure that you've had a go just as you would in class, and then I'll go over it on the next slide. So do pause now and make sure you've had a go. Okay, so let's have a look then at what we could have done. I'll just grab a pen ready. So we've decided the calculation is 4.24 divided by 4. We need just one of these blocks. We know the total amount is 4.24 kilograms, so I'm going to divide it equally between 4 blocks, okay? Now, if we were in class here, I'd be getting some of you to come up and talk about and show us on the smartboard maybe what it is that you've done. Obviously, we can't do that here. So I'm just going to try and predict what some of you might have managed. So I'm wondering if some of you might have partitioned it maybe. So I'll just show you that one, 4.24. So I'm going to separate it out. So I'm going to do 4 on its own first, divided by 4. And that would give me the answer of 1. And then here, I've got 24 hundredths. I'm going to put a decimal point in here. 24 hundredths. I'm going to divide that 24 hundredths by 4 as well. If I do 24 divided by 4, I end up with 6. Now, we just have to be a bit careful here if we're doing this one. We've said this is 24 hundredths divided by 4. So when I write out my answer, I actually need a 0 in the tenths column, and then our 6 here will be in the hundredths column. So I'm saying that each block is 1.06 kilograms. I'll show you in a moment how we can check that. Over here then, what I think some of you might have done is the short division method. So this is a method we've taught you before for dividing whole numbers, but we've just not done it with decimal numbers yet in year 6. So this is our short division method. I know that some of you call it the bus stop method, so it's just that method. I just prefer to call it short division, as you know if you're in my class. So we are dividing 4.24 divided by 4. So our first job is working out how many 4s there are in 4. So we're essentially saying 4 divided by 4, which just like it was a moment ago, is 1. I've popped the decimal point in ready, so that's all sorted. We then look at the 4, and we're saying how many 4s are there in 2? But just remember, place value wise, that is 2 tenths. So 4 into 2, well, it doesn't. It's too big. This digit is larger than this one. I cannot do 2 divided by 4 and end up with a whole number answer that I can put up here. Okay, So what we do in this case is we exchange. And I'll just show you what's actually happening here. So this was 2/10 that we haven't yet been able to divide by 4, which is why we're exchanging. So that was 2/10. And I'm exchanging it, I'm moving it over into the hundredths column, at which point actually what we've got there is 20 hundredths. If you can see where I've put it in front of the 4, we've now got 24. That's 24 hundredths. 2/10 is equal to 20 hundredths. So that's all we've done. We've exchanged the tenths for hundredths. Okay, so we've ended up with 24 hundredths. So now we're saying how many times does 4 go into 24, or what's 24 divided by 4? Hopefully we know that that is 6. So same answer both times. We're saying that each one is 1.06 kilograms, or 1 kilogram 0.06. Okay. Now, just a little way of checking that, you could do a little inverse method based on what we did yesterday. I'm going to have to really squeeze this in here. So this was Tuesday's lesson. So I can do 4 times by the 6 is 24. 4 times by 0 is 0, add the 2 on. And 4 times by 1 is 4, which gets me back to the correct answer. So I know that I'm right. Now, you might have done a different method. That's absolutely fine. If you have, you're welcome to share that with your teacher. So which is the most efficient method? For me, it's got to be the short division here. I could easily go wrong if I hadn't put that 0 in, if I hadn't registered that. So I would say short division would be the most efficient one. Okay, we've got 4 more questions to have a look at here. If you're feeling confident, you go for it and have a go on your own, and then watch the video once you've done it, and you can check and mark and see how I did it. If you're not feeling confident, you're more than welcome to just write it down and follow it through as I do it, okay? Just as we would if we were in class and you weren't sure. So the first one is 9.8 divided by 4. So I've set it out. If you could write this down on whatever paper you've got and try and set it out with the decimal points all lined up. My decimal points are huge, so you can see them. Make sure you can see them, but they don't need to be utterly ginormous. So we are saying to ourselves, how many lots of 4 are there in 9? 9 divided by 4. If you need to, you can count up in 4s. So I would be going 4, 8, 12. Well, that 12 is too many. So I'm going back down to my 8, which is 2 lots of 4. If you could see me, I'm actually holding up fingers as I do that, which is obviously you can't see me, so that's of no use. So I'm writing down 2 lots. 2 lots of 4 in 9. 2 times 4 is 8, but we had 9 here. So that gives me a remainder, and that gives me a remainder of 1. The difference between 8 and 9 is just 1. So that gives me a remainder of 1 whole. Now I'm going to exchange that 1 whole for 10 tenths, okay? 1 whole is the same as 10 tenths. So I'm exchanging and moving it over into the next place value column here. So I've now got 18 tenths. So we're saying, how many 4s are there in 18? 18 divided by 4. So again, I'm thinking about my times table facts. I know that 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. That's too many. So it's got to be 4 lots. So 4 times 4 is 16, but I had 18. I'm going to have to exchange again. I'm going to have to keep moving on. Now, in this case, we've got to do a little something. I've left this blank and I already extended my line. We're going to need to put a 0 here. That 0 is showing me that currently, at the moment, I have got 0 hundredths in my number. However, if I want to carry this division on, I just said that 4 times 4 is 16, but I had 18 here. The difference between 16 and 18 is 2. That gives me a remainder of 2. and we're exchanging again there. We're taking these 2/10 and we're exchanging it for 20 hundredths. 2/10 is equivalent to 20 hundredths. So final step now is how many lots of 4 are there in 20? So 20 divided by 4, hopefully you know that one, is 5. So my answer to 9.8 divided by 4 is 2.45. Okay. I'm going to have a go at this one now. If you think you've got it from that one that we've just done, then pause the video if you haven't had a go independently yet, and you could now try this next one down here on your own and then come back and play the video. So I've got 453 divided by 4. So again, I've set it out, I've put the decimal points in, and I've extended this a bit already to help you. So we start over here. How many times does 4 divide into 4? What's 4 divided by 4? Well, it's 1. Okay, just a little reminder that that is actually 400 people. Okay, how many lots of 4 are there in 5? What's 5 divided by 4? Well, there's only one lot of 4 in 5. 2 times 4 is 8. Well, I haven't got 8, I've only got 5. So it's got to be 1. And this time we've got a remainder. So in terms of working out your remainder, in this case it's quite simple, but other ones are a little bit tricky. So we think about, well, what's one lot of 4? It's 4. What's the difference between 4 and 5? It's 1. So I'm exchanging here 1/10 for 10 ones. Okay? So then we get to how many lots of 4 are there in 13? So 4 times 3 is our closest one. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12. We had 13. That gives me a remainder of 1. So just like we did up here, I need to put a 0 down to say that currently I've got 0/10 in my number. If you don't do this bit, you are going to get the wrong answer. My remainder then is 1. So I'm taking over 1/10. Some people make the mistake of just putting 1 there without a 0. If you do that, you're going to end up saying how many lots of 4 are in 1. But it's not 1. It's 10. Okay? So how many lots of 4 are in 10? 4 times 2 is our closest one. 4 times 2 is 8. And that gives me a remainder again. The difference between 8 and 10 is 2. So I need to put a 0 down this time to say that currently I've got 0 hundredths. We just said there was a remainder of 2, so I put my 2 down. That is 20 hundredths. So how many lots of 4 are in 20? Again, I'm hoping we know our 4 and 5 times tables. So the answer is 5. So 453 divided by 4 is 113.25. Okay, I feel like this is going to be a very long video by the time I've done this. As before, if you now think you've got it and you haven't done any on your own yet, have a go at this next one independently. Pause the video and then come back and watch me. If you still need my guidance, that's absolutely fine too. So we are doing 2 divided by 5. So how many lots of 5 are in 2? It's got to be 0, and do write that 0 down. If this digit is bigger than the one here, then it's always going to be 0 times, okay? I cannot do 2 divided by 5 and get a whole number answer. So I need to exchange now. This was 2 10s. Now it is 20 ones. That's what the 2 means here, 20 ones. We already have 5 ones there. So I've now got 25. So we're now saying what's 25 divided by 5 times table facts again. 5 times 5 is 25. There's no remainder to think about here, but we haven't finished because I've still got the 6 from my number. We were doing 25.6, look. So I've still got a 6 here. So how many lots of 5 are in 6? Well, 5 times 1 is 5, isn't it? 5 times 2 is 10. It's too big. And same as we did on these previous 2 questions, just to hold this place value, We've currently got 0 hundredths. Now I am about to exchange. So we did 5 times 1 is 5, but we had 6 there. So there's a remainder of 1. Now I'm saying a remainder of 1, but again, just understand that face value. It's 1/10 that I'm exchanging now for 10 hundredths. Okay, 1/10, 10 hundredths. How many lots of 5 are there in 10? Well, hopefully we know that 5 times 2 is 10, and that's our answer. So 5.12. Finally, 368 divided by 5. Okay, now I've put a decimal point in here for you. If you end up dividing a number and you end up needing to take it into decimals, but it was a whole number to start with, don't panic about it. Just put yourself a decimal point in when you get to that point, and you could even put a 0 in ready here. Okay, and then you know what you've got to do. So starting off right at the beginning over here, how many lots of 5 are there in 3? Again, like this one, well, 3 is smaller than 5, so it's got to be 0. There are no lots of 5 in 3, so I've got to exchange that 300s for 30 tens. I already had 6 tens in there, so now I've got 36 tens. So we are dividing now, 36 divided by 5. So it's our 5 times table, and 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 7 is 35, but we had 36 in total. That gives me a remainder of 1. Do be careful with these remainders. So how many lots of 5 are in 18? Sorry, I just told you the answer. So we need to be thinking about 15. 5 times 3 is 15. That gives me a remainder of 3. So the difference between 15 and 18 is 3. So my remainder now, I've already put the 0 down because I knew what was coming. So I'm putting the 3 there. So how many 5s are in 30? Well, 30 divided by 5, or 5 times 6 is 30. Okay, I think that's it for the guided section today. I'm just going to pop on and just check that I'm right. I am. So I'll just nip on and do another video to explain the intelligent practice to you. Hopefully some of that guided work has made some sense to you now. If you're stuck, if you're confused, do message your teacher on Class Dojo and we will get back to you and try and support you, okay? Right, I'll see you in a moment for intelligent practice.